Hello guys, today we will take a look at another one of the trophy gear items. This time we have SSO Jaeger chest rig. As you know, by watching this channel, I reviewed a lot of products from SSO just because they are a very distinct company from the Russian gear market. Yes, their current designs are terrible and they pretty much disappearing into obscurity. But for me personally, that make these pieces of gear the more interesting. I have of course this rig for quite some time now. I don't use it, it was just in storage. But what got me to do this video is that the American vendor Commando Store actually started to selling replicas of this type of chest rig made by Arctis, and Arctis is one of my favorite companies. So naturally I was like, okay, there is demand for this type of chest rig in America. It can't be better time to make the video, so I just got this chest rig sent it to me from the storage. We look in the history. Around the year 2000, let's say late 90s, early 2000s, this chest rig was developed by SSO. The origins, but not direct ones, coming to the Soviet war in Afghanistan, so they encountered there the Chicom chest rig, which is absolutely classic design with 3 or 4 mags in front of the chest rig. That further evolved to the Polyas A, which was just a Soviet attempt to make that type of chest rig. The new distinct feature was that the pouch took actually 2 magazines and it took 4 grenades in total, and we pretty much have the same layout even on this chest rig. Early on, these rigs were made out of Avizent, which is just aviation present fabric. It's the same fabric that was used, for example, on parachutes. Later, the current version, it's made out of Cordura 500. This one is not treated, so it's IR reflective, and you can see very distinctly this item under night vision. Pretty much same like the all SSO range, so that make it a really crappy choice, unfortunately. Early on you could see these chest rigs on the members of MVD, basically Interior Ministry troops and FSB. So basically any unit that you can consider at that time a little bit more high speed, or that the people at least care a little bit about their job, you could seldomly see this type of rig. Same like the rest of the SSO range of chest rigs in that time. So we talking, for example, SSO Kangaroo 4, which was very small chest rig just with 4 pockets. Then we have chest rigs Sarmat, Lazuchik M, Nerpa, Legat. Most of those rigs were huge, at least 4 rows of mag pouches, lot of grenades on side. So when you put it on yourself as person with normal build, you find very quickly that those chest rigs are way too big. And they were that big for simpler reason, because they were supposed to be worn over ballistic protection. But not only just small plate carriers. What was the standard in that time were huge vests without molly, with Kevlar, then plates, and then the chest rig on top. So that's why back in those times the big chest rigs were that common, but this is like the more compact version. And I also believe that's why actually the Commando Store opted to make a replica exactly of this rig, because it's compact enough. And you could actually see it on guys to this day. Mainly I've seen it on the Wagners in Africa. It's still rare to see some evidence of those being used, but yes, currently to this day you could seldomly see them in pictures. Which is definitely not the case of the bigger chest rigs like Lazuchiks and Nerpas. For me personally, I find the biggest advantage that unlike Smerch, you could actually use it very easily with the Ataka series of backpacks that I really like. And on those you can actually use the hip belt, so the backpack is more stabilized and you still have combat loadout on yourself. Another picture where you could see those are from the 2004 during one of the very successful operations of the Russian Special Forces, which ended up just in carnage as they usually do. Back in the day, what was small hint that for some reason those chest rigs are actually popular in the West were replicas of the very early variants made by IRT out of Indonesia, but I don't believe they're making those actually anymore. So why is it popular? Yes, I mentioned the size, and also another reason is that this is the least terrible out of the Russian chest rigs. So that's enough from the history, let's take a look at the chest rig itself. we see the harness. Originally the harness were just in an X pattern. In this latest variant they actually put it as H pattern, but this is absolutely terrible. The shoulder pads are in the way, so if you want to seriously use it, I would just take this one and remove it completely and use it as your traditional X harness. I believe that's just much better choice. Then you have very generous shoulder packs that are actually way too big, but whatever. And they even have this metal attachment point for the use of the sternum strap for more stabilization, which I think why would you ever do that? So these are just pretty much useless on the rig. Then talking about harness, you have the same terrible quick release here like on the Ataka series of backpacks, so when you lift this one up it falls apart. But what type of quick release? For me personally, when you put quick release on anything, it should be only one movement, so just one piece. But here you have actually 1, 2, but still you have the third strap running around your body, so doesn't seem that smart to me. And also simple fast packs would actually do better job than that. But it is whatever, this is SSO, this is just how they do stuff for the last 30 years and they never really thought about it twice. This is the back of chest rig. Here is a small map pouch. The map pouch have one interesting feature, and that's the bag for documents that look like so. What is the problem with that? Any map, let's say, that you would put here, you also sweating when you're doing physical activities and it will just become soaking wet. Also, when you actually want to do some cover like this, you should make it out of some impregnated material, so it's actually waterproof. Like this, it's just useless gimmick, but whatever. Judging by the SSO page, it may be happened already that this chest rig is discontinued. Anyway, let me know in the comments. Another very esoteric feature that you can find on Russian chest rigs are those belt loops. Those were supposed to be used on sniper belts, so you would have belt running around your body. The buckle of the belt would be here on the right, next to this tab belt. And here you would have your canteens, your pistol, and maybe some additional grenade pouches. And I've never seen those used operationally. I've only seen airsofters actually using the sniper belt setups together with the SSO chest rigs. In the field it's so impractical, so huge, so why would anybody even do that? And also by applying the sniper belt you actually robbing yourself of possibility of using hip belt on the big backpack. Then we look at the setup, so we have 2 grenade pouches on each side. What I like about the design, that is actually silent, at least on this one. So when you remove it, you can see this type of button. In my personal opinion, you should have always on your gear at least one grenade pouch that is silent, so let's say that you get to the dugout, whatever, you want to initiate the fight and you get that close. You don't want to have huge piece of velcro ripping away and creating sound that way. So one so-called silent grenade pouch is definitely a must in my opinion. Anyway, all of those pouches have this silent closure, so that's okay. Then probably one of the most useless features are those 2 long pouches. Because again, they are for example for the ROS flares or the RDG smoke grenades, all of them being in the West either unusual or just impossible to get. So yeah, to get those flares out, again, silent opening, you can get the flare out, use it. In post-Soviet countries, yes, it's okay to use those. I used those as late as like 2018. I still carried them on my rig, but I don't carry them currently. And then we have 3 magazine pouches. The magazine pouches have those tabs, but they also have little piece of velcro, like so. This reminds me very much of Smerch. It's exactly the same construction, but the Smerches don't use these metal tabs that I actually like quite a lot. You can see the AK-74 magazines fit just right. Also, it have the same dividers like Smerch, so you can actually remove those and then use 3 magazines next to each other. So you can get this rig actually to the total of 9 magazine capacity, which is cool in my opinion. But also, and one of the main selling points, I guess, is that you can use AK magazines without any problems. So then we have AK magazines and everything fit just right, just correctly. Also, it have this additional shock cord to remove a little bit of the rattle from the assembly. So those are good features. Overall, this is interesting collector's piece. Completely useless in today's market where we have ultralight materials, and also you need to think if using chest rig have even sense, because in normal operation I actually wore chest rig on myself only one time in my life, and that was it. So in today's day and age, with the presence of drones, FPV drones, that can strike really deep behind your lines, whatever, using just the chest rig, it's really brave choice. So the overall conclusion is SSO Jaeger is the least terrible rig from the SSO range. Thank you very much guys for watching. If you wish to support us, you can use the PayPal link down below or become YouTube member for extra videos.